Good morning, sunshine. Actually, I should say good afternoon because it's Thursday afternoon. And I thought, well, it's been 10 months since I've made a video for you. The last time was when my father was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And boy, has life changed or what? Well, number one, I wanted to thank you for your very kind words. I am getting so much better. And it's interesting because, aside from that, I feel like every 15 years, it's time for me to reflect and think on, okay, how are you going to design the next 15 years of your life? And for me, as I get to 6-0, which is, 3.5 years away, I think to myself, I need a 15-year plan in terms of what I'm doing right now, what I would like to be doing, and I'll get into that in a second. But thank you for your beautiful and supportive words. I was hesitant to send you that video because it's so personal and it's it's not an easy subject to talk about. But right now, I've been making wonderful progress with the um, counselor, therapist, and a lot of the things I learned from you have really helped my life. And I'm talking about what you had mentioned, establishing boundaries with my mom, with family members, and also just saying, I'm going to quit living a lie by being with certain people who I know um, are not good for me. And what I mean by that is, I have family members that just love to go on and on and on about how much money they're making and how much wealth and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, why am I exposing myself to this? You know, time out, and I'll say something like, you know what, I already know about your bonuses, so I don't have to hear it again. And I think by having those boundaries, you don't put yourself in a situation where you're creating resentment because of what they're doing, and they don't even realize what they're doing. But anyways, getting back to boundaries, this is what I've learned. That is, you have to be aware of these things that really trouble you, and don't continue in those spaces and those conversations when you know it's not a healthy thing for you. Um, yeah, I would say this reset with my mom has been long overdue, and I think at this point she kind of is stepping back and just respecting where I'm going with everything. Oh, by the way, I've decided to embrace my North African curly hair. Let me see. And I've never really let my curls go the way they are right now. And 500 years ago, the Spanish threw the Arabs and the Jews out of Spain. And for those of us with Spanish ancestry, we do have Jewish blood and North African / Muslim blood. And that's why we have curly hair and we have beards, because the indigenous people of this region, South Texas, have straight hair, no beards. So I thought, I'm going to start embracing who I am. And I think curls and curly hair comes from North African people, because it was so hot, their hair started to curl up. And so I have this curly hair, which I'm embracing, and I love it. And so my daughters and I have not had any kind of conversation. I suspect my mom has said something to them, but I could be wrong. But you can kind of sense that they're just being very chill with me and so forth. I'm going to be looking at the possibility of maybe seeking compensation from this business that has or had a person that put me in this very challenging position. And in about 2 more sessions, the counselor is going to do a full write-up as to what I went through and everything else. I'll tell you the full story maybe when I see you in January, just because I'll be much more advanced in this place that I'm at right now, having to do with that. I'm so thrilled you were able to recover $7,000 from your son from that IRS payment for those $12,000 in RV expenses to fix the roof. And I can't imagine how frustrating it has been over the past, what, 10 months with having the house under contract, having the people back out, um, finding a new buyer, and so forth. Oh my God, God bless your patience. And yes, that trip to Mexico was long overdue. And I don't know if you're back yet. I suspect you are. Oh, by the way, I have a postcard going out to you today. And I have those other goodies that I have for you, but I always send those when I'm feeling the vibe, the energy, when I feel like, you know what, this is the week I want to make Sunshine smile with these little signs and all that other good stuff. So I'm almost there. I'm almost there because sometimes it's almost like these little things find me, and I'm like, okay, now the care package is really ready. I don't want to send an incomplete care package. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. With cancers, right? We don't play around. We show up and show out all the time. So not having those $3,000 a month in expenses, what a blessing that is. And I'm sure now your stress level's going to go down. And what fun to be doing that work with your son in reference to the garage units. I love all of that, you know. In a perfect world, I would love to do something like that, but I don't know if I could do all that hard work in terms of being in those hot garage units and separating food and panties and this, that, and the other. But I love the thrill of finding those rare items or those unique items, right? And boy, this is one time I really wish I lived in Tampa because I love to buy and sell vintage, and I haven't done it in 5 years since I got sick, and I really pulled back from it. In a nutshell, here in San Antonio, things are very quiet. Quiet on the streets because there's so many people hiding in reference to immigration. This region, we got hit pretty hard when the buses were coming through here, and a lot of Venezuelans stayed here. They got papers, they got EBT cards, residency cards, everything. It's really shocking. So right now, there's a lot of this between the Venezuelans and the Mexicanos, the Mexican people from Mexico. And the beef comes from the Mexicans saying, listen, I've been here 10 years, 15 years. Nobody gave me an EBT card with 15,000 preloaded. Nobody gave me rent for 1 year. Nobody gave me free health insurance. Nobody gave me this. So the Mexicans are not hiring the Venezuelans, right? Or they don't want to. Now in Mexico, where a lot of Venezuelans got stuck, before the change of administration, the Venezuelans are almost like slave labor. They're paying them 30 to 40% less. So we're kind of dealing with that right now in San Antonio, and a lot of Venezuelans, when they walk around town, they hide their Spanish because it's very pronounced. Their accent is very, very pronounced. So the streets are quiet, everything is chill because so many people are hiding right now. And in terms of my insurance business, because so many of them are in the construction world, we've been noticing the immediate slowdown of new businesses starting, and I've had a few cancellations. Part of it is agents are doing really shady things to steal accounts and so forth, and I'm okay with it being a little slow right now for the simple reason that when my father passed away, he left me, let's say like $70,000. The IRS took $20,000, or USA sent $20,000 to the IRS on my behalf, and the rest of the money is going to really inflate my annual gross revenue or income, right? And I have very little to no expenses because I basically live like Gandhi, kind of like you, right? And so I don't have I don't have any deductions outside of business expenses. And even with my business expenses, I have really sharpened the pencil so tightly that it actually hurts me to not have expenses. But I'm not going to go out throwing money around buying excess computers, excess printers, or buying fancy lunches because it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense to waste money like that. And a lot of people will say, well, create expenses, create expenses. Well, all you're doing is creating another loss because a lot of you're just spending money to spend money to have the deduction. But what do you do with excess computers? What do you do with all this other stuff when you don't really need them, right? I hope that makes sense. So that's been a challenge for me. Um, and so right now, with business being a little slow, it's like I'm okay until the end of the year, and then I need to really start cranking it up. And what's going to happen for me is because my mental capacity to work insane hours has really been brought down to earth for me, I'm going to have to be very strategic and say during the week I can now work between 25 and 30 hours, but those hours are going to be very, very focused, very concentrated on quality business, quality clients, and I'm going to continue to cut out clients that are just too difficult to work with. In fact, some of these clients that I was working with recently, I have a feeling that they were using dirty money to buy real estate properties and so forth. There's a lot of money laundering that goes on in San Antonio. I think three of those investors, I think the ICE picked them up because they were doing all kinds of weird things. I mean, you could just sense, why is this guy from Venezuela buying a $700,000 house or property that he's going to renovate, and they've just disappeared. They've literally disappeared, and these are people with businesses, right? Not necessarily businesses with employees, but they were doing things for years and then they vanished, which leads me to think that they were essentially here with no paperwork. One of them got cancer last year, and I think the government must have spent at least $500,000 treating him with no papers, right? And so that's something that's been happening recently. My oldest daughter from Seattle visited. We had a nice visit. She's so quiet. Not quiet, but she's just so different from my youngest daughter. And I think she's doing well in Seattle. She's been with Costco Corporate for about 4 or 5 months. She does bank reconciliations for them. She's in the accounting division. And my son-in-law, he's still at Microsoft. They recently moved to an apartment closer to their places of work. And my youngest one, she is going to be in a Washington, D.C. internship in January for 6 months, or maybe 4 or 5 months. So that's going to give me some time to make some updates at her house, specifically the garage, which I already cleaned out, and I'm going to have someone paint it. And I may have mentioned it to you, like Miami blue, and paint the floor, and it's going to be an art studio. So I'm excited about that. And there's several other things I need to do, like they have 2 sofas in there, or my youngest one has 2 sofas that need to be reupholstered. They're 20 years old, and it's time. I'm not going to buy new furniture because I already found someone who can just reupholster them. So that's going to be one of my projects. And in terms of the next 2 to 3 months, with all the stuff that I've been going through recently, it's been a challenge because I'm having to be very careful with my mom. There's a group chat among all of my Solis cousins, right? This would be my father's nephews and nieces. And it's real obvious my mom is a little jealous that I'm doing stuff with them and I'm not with her. And it's a weird situation. Very, very weird situation. So I'm at a point now where I'm having to I'm sorry about that. This email, this text message just came through from a client. You know, when I send things to the insurance company, I do follow-ups. It's like, listen, I'm doing my best. We're in line, and I need to get this through. So, and I guess that right there, Sunshine, is what I'm also having to establish boundaries with. So I can't work these insane hours. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to be working 20 to 30 hours per week, I want less aggravation, less frustration, less clients who don't pay their bills, who are just endlessly difficult to work with. And I think that will maybe give me more peace of mind, and it'll be less frustrating going to work, because in the insurance business it's been very tough. People are just unhappy for a whole bunch of reasons, and they take it out on us, right? They get very upset with us, and we're just, I mean, I represent the client, but I also represent the company, so I'm in between, and I'm doing my best to move things along, but I don't control pricing, I don't control billing, I don't control underwriting decisions. If they say we don't like this or we don't like that, that's out of my hands. And and you do your very best, but I can see how people want to take it out on us and say, you all have created this nightmare for us, and I'm paying too much, and I empathize with that. But I think that those headaches are something that can really grind you down. And in this business, people start gaining a lot of weight. They start drinking because it's tough. And mind you, I don't even handle claims. There's a lot of agents who get involved in the claims process, and oh my God, that's another nightmare, because it can go on and on. I've got one client right now who has a $5 million home. Her claim is now going on 11 months, okay? 11 months, because she's an opportunist. She keeps taking advantage of the system, and she keeps milking and milking and milking the insurance company for more money. And you kind of, it's, all those cliches are true. The people that have money know how to get money out of others in creative ways, and insurance claims are the best way to do that. Because this lady, for example, she had two ACs that went out, or something happened to them, so the smoke went inside the house. So the insurance company sent a professional company to clean the clothes, but she said they did a horrible job, so I want to be compensated. So she has a lot of vintage Christian Dior and created all of these receipts. And this is the second time she's done it. Okay, she's saying, no, I want to be paid full price for all of these clothes, these vintage clothes. So she milked us for, I think on that one, like maybe $120,000 just in clothes. Lo and behold, her daughter across the street buys a $1.2 million house. And she's even doing shady stuff where she owns a construction company. So she hired her own company to do the work at her own house. So she's making money off her claim indirectly. And I just stay out of it. I'm not going to get involved in that. If that's her business, and that's what she's doing with the insurance company, I'm not getting in that mess. Because the last thing I need is a headache. Because this lady files lawsuits. And she loves to file lawsuits. So that's what's been happening. I just wanted to pop in. Oh my God, I'm almost on 18 minutes. I just wanted to pop in and say hi to you, sending you big love. And I wanted you to hear my voice. I wanted you to see me. And I'd been hesitant to do this for a while because things were just challenging in the past few months. But it's so strange, as I alluded to in that video that I sent you. I've been seeing red cardinals all over the place, and just last week, and I found a red cardinal behind a dress at a Day of the Dead event. And so my point is, my Father's Spirit is protecting me. My Father's aura is out there, and when I mention this stuff to my mom, it doesn't even click with her. But I have a feeling that those of us who are cancers can tap into those energy vibes out there, and energy zones that are coming from above, from God. We just know it. We can feel it, and we can always sense when God is leading us in the right direction. I think that's what's happening right now. I think I'm growing up, becoming wise to the world, creating these boundaries, and just saying no. There's a lot of connections in my life that I've just said, I'm out, because I'm not your therapist. I'm not your, as I once told the person, I don't know, maybe I didn't tell this person, but it's like, I'm not your emotional Kotex. And I think for too long, those of us who are cancers, we're good listeners, but I think sometimes we listen too much and we take on the issues, the burdens of these people who really should be talking to professional people. We're not trained to do that kind of work. We're not trained to be their emotional clutches, right? So that's what I'm having to discipline myself with, is focus on getting better, getting healthier, and and realize you cannot solve the problems of others. All right, Sunshine. I know I'm missing one or two things that I wanted to share with you, but they'll probably come to me a little later. But I just felt okay. It's Thursday afternoon, and I feel like sending Sunshine a little message. And I don't know if you're back from Mexico or not, but it looks like you had a really good time. Your smile is great. Your skin looks really, really good. I don't know if you're like moisturizing or doing something, but it looks really, really good. So, and your midsection is looking good too. I have a feeling that all that walking and moving around is really tightening it up because it looks good. It looks really, really good. So I have a feeling that in Mexico they're probably going crazy over you, by flirting and everything else, and because God knows you're like a magnet for these cats who just say, "Whoa, that's a woman right there." They don't make love. They don't make them like that anymore. Nowadays, a lot of these women just, I don't know. Maybe it's all the junk food that they're eating, but they just look unhealthy. Where you look healthy, you look like, hey, got my act together. Okay, Sunshine. That's a final compliment. Compliment. Big love. Hope you're doing well. Safe travels, and we shall be in touch. Ciao. Love you.